You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Checking. Welcome to the Idaho Sheriff live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. Sorry, we're a little bit late tonight. We had to reset our router. Our signal was not good. My name is Dawna Wilson, co-host and producer, also here to screen your questions and comments. We don't censor questions unless you're vulgar, then you're going to go into a timeout. We like sense of humor, perfectly okay with that. We discuss all things liberty without compromise. Getting your questions into Dan is as easy as typing into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. And for the full screen, most interactive experience, you will want to join us on Facebook or YouTube. But we still like you on Instagram. Take a moment, share this broadcast to your profile so your friends and family also have the chance to join live, ask their questions. And if you're listening back as part of our podcast family, thank you for joining us. And remember, you can listen and subscribe to the Idaho Sheriff podcast on whichever platform you get your shows. Now, here is your weekly reminder that Dan Wilson is the sheriff candidate for Kootenai County, who has been endorsed by Sheriff Richard Mack as the only constitutional sheriff for Kootenai County. Here's Dan Wilson.
Good evening. Welcome to all of the Liberty Without Compromise posse and new members. We are so thankful for all the new friends that we have made the past 5 days while we have been at the county fair. I have been blown away by the kindness and support from this very county of people that have heard the message wide and far and have come out to tell me how much they appreciate the message, how much they ascribe to liberty without compromise. I also want to make a shout out to all those visitors from outside of the county in parts of the country and the states that have heard the message, sought us out, and wanted to come by and say hello. So hello to all of the Liberty Without Compromise posse. We're so glad you joined us. And as I said earlier, it has been a long week. I'm stalling because Donna has to.
Oh, whoops. Well, also, I just accidentally put up on screen how we got punked at the fair already with the Google ad. It was an accident. We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back.
I'm stalling because, of course, when we reset everything, problems of living way out from where there's high-speed internet, you have to use satellite. So, But no, I've been extremely pleased at just not only the outpouring of the community who have dwarfed our little humble abode, our little tent there at the county fair. We have outstanding posse members who have helped make this such a success. I'm not going to remember everyone. We will eventually. We'll recap it because I don't want any of our valuable support posse to go unrecognized. But I want to give a shout out tonight to Les and to Jim, who are holding the line for us while we've come back into the residence where we make this broadcast possible. Thanks, gentlemen, for holding the line. Special thanks to Ann Blatt, who has set up such an amazing group of folks to staff our tent. So I can't tell you how proud I am of our people.
Over at the fair, what do we decide it is? It's
a state fair. Kootenai County State Fair.
No, the North. It's the North Idaho State Fair.
You're right.
We have an amazing photo album coming together of all the people that have stopped by, as Dan was telling you about. And go on Facebook and look at that North Idaho State Fair photo album. You can maybe even see your own photo in there if you've already stopped by the booth and had had your picture taken with Dan. Those are fun to flip through, and a visual reminder of how many people are inspired by the message of liberty without compromise and have come to thank Dan for stepping up, taking a stand, and doing what he's doing.
From morning till night. Most days the fair is open around, 10, 11 a.m.?
I think 11, yeah.
And from 11 until 10 o'clock at night when we have to shut down, it is nonstop. I mean, people
Lots
are
of
stopping by
conversations.
the booth, and the support again has been, I don't want to say overwhelming, but it has been amazing. It's been robust. And, we keep hearing the same comments over and over again, which we're going to talk about a little more tonight because it can't be said enough. People want this liberty without compromise. They want life, liberty, and property the way the founders intended it. And they've continually come up to us and told us exactly how important that is. I mean, look at the diversity of the people who have come out. And look, we live in a very, very Republican block of Idaho, where the majority of those that are in office are Republican. And yet the message of liberty without compromise, equal protection under the law applies for everyone. And we've had folks that do not align with me when it comes to worldview. But what they do really what they gravitate to is equal protection under the law, fidelity to the Bill of Rights. So I have just been continually reminded that we don't talk enough to our neighbors. We don't have civil conversations to express what our views are without tearing down somebody else's views. And it's something that we really need to come back to here in this country, to quit being divisive, to quit being divided by parties and party lines. Because, folks, it's really not about Democrat versus Republican, if you haven't already figured this out.
Well, you're talking about divisiveness, though. That's an accusation that's been thrown around a lot. If somebody comes in and they're speaking the truth and they say, look, here's evil that's going on or unethical behavior that's taking place, and then if you call it out with facts, you're going to be accused of being divisive.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think that they're similar, but obviously we're talking about dividing the country, dividing our neighbors. We don't have to be enemies if we love the Bill of Rights. It is whoever has the best argument, that your argument should compel somebody who doesn't have the same worldview or belief to pause and to consider whether or not there's something that maybe they need to consider again and maybe lean towards your beliefs. But you're exactly right. And of course, I've loved hearing all the rumors this week of what I allegedly am. So here's one for you. And let me know, drop a comment on this and tell me what you think. I've been called, people have come up and they said, we've heard Dan Wilson is pro-vaccine, pro-wearing your mask, pro-lockdowns. I mean, legit, people are coming up and they're actually asking me, we've heard. Now, Bob Norris and Bruce Matari, that dynamic duo, Bert and Ernie, they simply love to spread this message. And there's others in other circles. We're going to talk more about this a little bit later on. But look, for anybody that that has heard these rumors, I want to hear if you've heard the same things and what your thoughts have been. And if you've had any conversations back with those very people that are spreading this nonsense.
Remember to join in on the conversation. Even if you don't technically have a question, feel free to join in and put your comments there in the comment section. Sometimes you guys are having discussions back and forth, and then on Facebook and YouTube, I'm able to share those up onto the screen, even if they're not necessarily questions. We like to engage with those. So remember to do that.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of shenanigans, of course. So my tent happens to be...
Oh, we're still talking about the fair.
We are. Yeah. And one of the reasons we're going to talk about the fair, is because we've been there for a solid week now. Morning till night. There has been no time for late evening cigars, no late evening whiskey, because we are out there meeting with people. But, there's been a lot of shenanigans, and I find it hilarious when you are such a threat to the opposition. And of course, we don't have confirmation. We don't have probable cause, Bob, to a law enforcement standard, indicating that you and your team have done this, but we'll let the viewer out there and the listener decide. So we set up our booth, and it happens to be kitty corner, 20 feet away max from the Cooney County Republican Central Committee's big booth, the KCRCC.
That's weird how we ended up right there.
I know, right? I just love coming in late where we can choose. So people can't help but see us before they hit the KCRCC booth, where Bob Norris is campaigning very, very hard. I mean, you got to give a credit for a guy that's got as many medical conditions as I believe that he does, since he's on $187,000 disability retirement from Los Angeles County. He's bless his little heart. He's working hard. He's working to try to catch up to the message of liberty without compromise, but I digress. So we're diagonal. I mean, we literally from the front of our little cabana can see over to the KCRCC booth. And the very first night we set up our tent, those are those little cabanas, the covering with the open walls. I staked down, you saw this, took my hammer, I took those metal stakes and I staked down very tightly all four corners to keep it from blowing away during the winter or in the night. And once the next morning we came back and every one of our stakes had been pulled out. Somebody had to work very hard, had to bring a hammer and a pry bar, pull those things out, and then they threw them away. I was leaning up and I'm like, why is this thing so
That's a little wobbly.
So, I mean, this is the shenanigans that the Bob Norris camp engages in. We've told our people don't engage because we believe that there should be honor and respect, even though I will dog all day long on, Bob Norris and that weasel, County Commissioner Bruce Matari, Special Deputy. But that wasn't all. I mean, we've had lots of other things. People coming in and writing on some of our literature when we're not there, putting pens down, and then the googly eyes. So you might as well show the googly eyes. Now, this was kind of funny.
Some of you are just joining us, so I didn't spoil it for you, but we came, I don't know, a couple days ago.
Yesterday. It was
yesterday.
Yeah.
The days are all bleeding together, but we're sitting at our booth and we had a guy come down the aisle and to get my attention. He's like, I don't know if you saw, but somebody kind of like defaced your sign here in the back.
Yeah.
And I got up and before I rounded the corner, I thought, we probably got some really nasty graffiti or something like that. Well, I turned the corner and instead I busted up laughing.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, that's actually funny. And that is what we found. That is what we found.
That is the aperture of my eyes. Every time I see the horse crap that Bob is pulling with, the Deputy Sheriff's Association and his mismanagement of the office for a guy that's so smart that managed, hundreds of employees as an admin guy down in Los Angeles, doesn't know the first thing about policies and securing things. And, that's about what my eyes look like when I'm filing through.
We got
his
some comments on Instagram. That couldn't have been Bob himself that did that. He's too weak.
Well, he's too short. I mean, because it was up high, but it was, it
was like 5.5 feet up there. So maybe not.
And Bob, thank you so much. I know that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I am very, very flattered that you've decided to emulate me. Wearing the cowboy hat and the black shirt. So he moved from his communist red shirt, red is dead. He's moved from a red shirt to a black shirt, and now he's emulating yours truly. So, Bob, I'm so glad that I could give you some fashion tips on what it's like to be, toxic masculine. And
no, we're getting a question. Are there cameras at the fairgrounds to affirm our accusations?
We are not going to confirm or deny that because, we might have a little special that we're going to play for folks, I don't know, in a couple days.
Okay.
So because, some of these knuckleheads that are screwing around probably shouldn't be doing what they're doing if you don't want to get caught.
Yeah.
So, good question. But we have noticed that Sheriff Robert Bob Norris is wearing a body-worn camera right up here on his collar. And, he wears a drop leg. So I have never in my entire life ever seen a grown-ass man in plain clothes wearing a drop leg holster with a revolver in it. Now, we used to wear I never personally wore a drop leg, even though I wore an outer vest while I was on patrol. But, TAC guys will wear those lower drop leg vests or drop leg holsters because their vests, restrict their ability to make the draw. But Bob is so high speed that he not only has this special drop leg holster that he wears halfway down to his knee that holds his revolver, which I'm positive he's not post qualified on. Peace officers, standard in training, you're supposed to shoot according to their quals. And he has this big old sheriff star on that holster. So, Bob, I want to let you know tonight so you can sleep well that I've done an official records request to your office requesting your body-worn camera per your policies as, described in their policies for public records requests, because with your badge out, even though you're campaigning in the KCRCC booth, well, I'd like to see what's on your body-worn camera, and you should be turning that over as public information since you are on duty. We see that big old badge. We see the sign, and you're Johnny Badass. So when you get in the office tomorrow, don't have a heart attack. I'm just going to give you courtesy right now. We've requested the footage for your body-worn camera. My question to the audience, do you think that Bob's actually going to turn over this little body-worn camera footage or not?
Yeah, that clip-on camera he's wearing while he's at the fairgrounds, which would seem to indicate he's anticipating some kind of run-in or something that's consequential, that's worth recording.
And he's there early morning.
Posterity.
And he's there late at night, so he's been there. And he's supposed to be, the sheriff 24/7. But once again, folks, we know that he doesn't actually do anything at the sheriff's office. That's what Brett Nelson's doing. Brett Nelson's lifting the heavy load while Bob's out playing sheriff. And, he's choosing everybody in the KCRCC tent. So, I can't wait to see the body camera footage. So, folks, do you think that Bob is going to obstruct and not provide the body-worn camera per KCSO policy for public records requests for anybody wearing a camera while on official duty?
Yeah, I don't know. One of the questions, we came to the fair while Dan was in the booth, really prepared to be asked difficult questions that Dan, he will answer. He'll not shy away from them. He'll answer. And from the onset of this campaign, those questions clearly were coming from operatives that were out of the Norris camp.
Yes.
And we wanted to be, they're very typical. We can list them 1 through 10. They're the same. So every time we have a new person come in that's from that side, they're like parrots. It's the same thing.
Same
so
talking points.
it's like, we've got a handle on this. And so if and when this comes up while you're at the fair, we're going to be prepared to answer these. What's been interesting is those have been, they really haven't come up because the general public, or what maybe has been the silent majority, or everybody outside of that KCRCC and Bob Norris echo chamber, they don't care. Yeah. And these have been robust, in-depth, liberty without compromise conversations in huge support of you in this forthcoming role in that mission. But one of the questions that is getting asked is, okay, what's the deal with the elections here in Idaho? Yeah. It's a little bit confusing. One, didn't we already vote for the sheriff? And then that leads to the second part of that. Are you on the ballot in November?
And the answer to this question, which I'm happy to continually saying it over and over again, is I am an independent. And independents, we don't have primaries because we are independent. We're not competing for the nomination from our political party. And so the general election, while it's true in the primary, if you are party affiliated, Republican, Democrat, Constitutional, Libertarian, you have to vote for your choice of your party affiliation for primary. The general ballot in November is open for votes from any party affiliation and or unaffiliated. So if you're unaffiliated, you're independent like me, you can vote for me. If you are a Republican, you can vote for me. If you are a Democrat and you believe in life, liberty, and property and equal protection under the law, you can vote for me. And I might add, for those out there that say, well, we don't really have a choice because we have two guys. One's a Republican and one's an extremely conservative individual, me. So we don't have a choice. I would argue and say anyone who believes in the Bill of Rights wants to vote for Dan Wilson because I swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And the Bill of Rights is so precious to me. I will protect everybody's rights. So, you can vote for me. You have my permission. Vote for Dan Wilson. Get all of your friends to vote for Dan Wilson. Let's get this message out and let's beat the mailer that comes out. You all know this mailer where you mindlessly just go down by party affiliation and check the box.
And we're in a little bit, we're going to be talking about the codependent relationship between the KCRCC and Bob Norris, but I don't want to go there just yet. Deputy Northwest on Instagram has a comment. Have you pulled Bob Norris's records for qualifications on that firearm that he carries around?
Yeah, no, it is coming. We already know that he's not post certified. I have the public records on that. But look, I understand, and you know as well as I do, the qualifications for your duty firearm, not backup, but duty firearm. That revolver, he can't change out his cylinder fast enough to make that qual. So I'm pretty positive that he can't, but we are going to ask that question, and that will be incoming.
All right. This may be a little bit of a touchy subject, but Lisa Schultz was driving past the barn on Lancaster in 95. Yeah. Noticed our banner's gone, and it had been up there for weeks. Yeah. So she noticed it's gone, but now there's a Norris sign up. So do we know what could have happened? Well,
I'm going to do something that Bob Norris doesn't know how to do. And that is I'm going to say I have to take ownership for something for my team, because everything stops with me. Now, this barn, this historic barn that sat on the corner of Lancaster and 95, has been papered with political signs ever since I can remember. And several weeks ago, we received permission from people who believed that they knew the ownership and had permission to put our sign up. And so my team went and put our sign up. It was up for about 3 weeks. Great location. And then last weekend, we noticed a Bob Norris sign put right up next to us on the barn. And we were told by the same individuals that said it was perfectly okay for us to put that sign up, and they had permission from the owners that, we could take that sign down. So I didn't do this. My team did it, but everything stops with me when it comes to
totally clear.
Yeah. So our team went and carefully removed Bob Norris's sign from next to ours under the assumption that we had accurate information. And a short time later, and I will say that our team, when they took Bob Norris's sign down, they wrote a letter on it. They were very respectful, no damage. But a few short hours later, in the middle of the day, ours was taken down and it was destroyed. So almost $200 banner was destroyed. Now, here is where I accept full responsibility. And I'm going to say this to anybody in Kootenai County. The failure was me as the leader of this organization failed to confirm in writing from the owner that we had authority to put this sign up. And that is something that I have corrected. I've gone through my entire support staff, and we have had a discussion on how going forward we are going to correct this to where we will never again put up a sign where we are not explicitly given permission to do so. So there is Dan Wilson taking full responsibility. And my understanding when I did a records search of the parcel, it appears that it might, and I believe it is owned by that billionaire Don Ahern, who bought that land north of the Hayden Airport. He's that billionaire from Las Vegas that is a big time donor to Bob Norris. So anyway, there's my apology. 100% my responsibility, not my team's. Buck stops with me. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks for saying it.
Yeah. But our signs, we're going through how many yard signs?
We're going through a lot of yard signs.
We've gone through over 100 yard signs in the past 5 days. People are taking them. We are going to run out of signs. So if you come to the fair by the end of the week, we most likely will not have a yard sign for you, but we will get some more ordered. And that has been also really, really cool to drive all over town and see our little yard signs up. So
I think something that is possibly even more effective. The yard signs are nice. Look, I designed them. I love the vibe. They look amazing and they look good. But I think something that's been even more effective in spreading the message, or even just as much, we'll say, are these shirts.
Yeah, liberty without
have
compromise.
that message that says liberty without compromise. And these are a great conversation starter. So we've had people come up to us and say, they come and they shake your hand and they say, what can I do? How can I help? And this is a number one way. These are available on the website at theidahosheriff.com. Different styles, different colors, men's, women's. There's hoodies as we get into the fall and cooler months, or nighttime. Hats. They're just that's the easiest way to go get your own, is through the website at theidahosheriff.com.
Now, you had made an interesting observation: the difference between our message and Bob Norris. And what I want to remind people, that in America we have no nobility and we have no royalty. We are all Americans, equal under God. We have leaders, but leaders are not nobility nor royalty. We don't serve these people. And I just want people to remember that we are shoulder to shoulder in the cause for liberty, no matter if you're digging a ditch or whether you are running for sheriff. Now, your observation between our two messages was what?
Well, I mean, there's a rule when it comes to helping people understand whether you're telling them to do something, get on my team right now, vote for Dan Wilson right now. We're telling you to do something. That's not, a lot of people, they're turned off by that. That's not a compelling, inspirational message. It's a turnoff. Right. We don't like being told what to do. Right. And what we wanted was a message of hope and inspiration, that what it's doing is it's unifying us. It's bringing us together in the cause of liberty without compromise. Yeah. So instead of telling somebody what they need to do, it's like, okay, I love that. And that's exactly it. We've had people stop us and say, I love that shirt. Mm-hmm. And it's, it's over what that has to say. Again. Yes. Yep.
In lieu of your law or what is it?
Yeah. I knew that's where you're going. Yeah. It's like, I got to put all those words together. Right. But yeah, I think for Bob Norris, the message is law and order, or law, order, and freedom, because it's morphed a little bit. Mm-hmm. So on his new shirt, that's black with the white print. And look, I'm not saying, obviously, you're free to, it's not like we own white font on black. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny when he showed up at the fair, and it's like, for sure, the first time we've seen black shirt with a redesigned logo. Yeah. And then, in small print in there, it's his name, Bob Norris, and then a little line in the middle. And so that tagline that he's using,
but it's not about Dan Wilson,
law,
though.
Order, freedom.
Yeah. And and the message, liberty without compromise, is not Dan Wilson.
Exactly.
It is us as Americans.
It's all of us together.
I want all of us together, shoulder to shoulder. And I'm going to say one last thing before we talk about this codependent relationship. Mm-hmm. The outpouring again from this community is never ceasing to amaze me. We went into the Texas Roadhouse the other night. We had been working the booth the entire day. We took a few minutes to go get dinner. We sat down at the bar, and there were people at the bar who immediately recognized us and recognized the message. And there was a lot of celebration and congratulation. And we had people saying, would you come take a picture? And I've learned to take pictures with people. And it was great. It's amazing because it's, again, not about Dan. It's about the message. But we had a couple sourpusses that decided to make a big scene about nothing, a Karen, if you will. And, because we walked in, I don't do the Facebook, but apparently when you walk into a location, it tags you where you're at. Is that right?
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, we shared the photos on Facebook, and then you check in at the location where you were. So that was something that was manually done, a check-in at the location of Texas Roadhouse. And then it said, thank you for your support, with the photos of the people who wanted their picture taken with Dan when we were there at the bar at Texas Roadhouse. So yeah, I mean, you can explain the Karen from there.
But apparently Karen, because she can't put two and two together, she immediately jumped on the bandwagon, demanded an answer from us online. We didn't answer her in a timely enough fashion. She wanted to know if we were implying that the Texas Roadhouse was endorsing Dan Wilson. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. In no way, shape, or form did we ever insinuate that the Texas Roadhouse had indeed endorsed this, nor would we have ever asked. But this Karen couldn't let it go. And despite people that wanted to let their voices be heard to tell her that she's ridiculous, she doubled down. And I'll give it to her. She's got spunk. She continued to argue. But yeah, I think that, the Bob Norris camp, they are all spun out. They cannot stand to see the people come to the booth day after day from morning till night because they're just in their little KCRCC bubble. Mm-hmm. But when we first got to the, fair, I guess it was on Friday morning, it was raining. And we were somewhat surprised because we saw on the outside, plastered all over their big covered tent, Bob Norris signs. And I was not really shocked, but yet somewhat surprised because, as you may recall, Bob and Bruce betrayed the Cooney County Republican Central Committee, a few short months ago in May, right before the primary, when Bob allowed his Deputy Sheriff's Association, the FOP 43, and their Political Action Committee to use the Sheriff's Star on their mailer that went out to Cooney County residents, and it implied by using the star that the sheriff's office was recommending certain candidates, which they cannot do, for people to vote on. And that included Trump, Bob Norris himself, Brett Surplus, and of course, Sleepy Dale Gibney. And the greater effect was, of course, those precinct committee officers that were North Idaho Republicans, not part of the KCRCC group. So Bob and Bruce backstabbed them. Well, listen to Bob himself. He is perfectly capable of, in his own words, admitting that he did this, admitting that he allowed his Political Action Committee, it's not his, but his deputy's Political Action Committee, to use the office, the badge of the sheriff's office in this mailer, but he only takes partial responsibility. So look.
Hi, my name is Robert Norris. I am your current Cooney County Sheriff. The purpose of this video is to clarify some situations that are occurring right here in Cooney County as it pertains to this flyer that some of you may have received. I want to make it very clear that the sheriff or the sheriff's office did not have any coordination or participation in this flyer whatsoever. My campaign, the Office of Sheriff, and myself, we do not coordinate any political strategies whatsoever with the Employee Association. None. The Employee Association did ask, and I did grant the use of the badge. The intended use was for elected officials that they had endorsed. I did not know they were going to use it for precinct committee positions. I support the Idaho Republican platform. I also support the Cooney County Republican Central Committee. I have personally walked precincts in support of conservative precinct committee men and women.
Good boy.
I encourage everybody to seek out your precinct committee people and talk to them about how important this election is. Thank you for your time, and please vote this coming Tuesday.
So Bob admits that he allows the Deputy Sheriff's Association to use the badge, but of course, he had no idea whatsoever who they were going to choose. I mean, look, you and I are one, and I could probably guarantee in certain situations that I wouldn't have to tell you directly, do this. You would do it because you know what's in my best interest. And Bob has such a tight relationship with this FOP. At his election, or his campaign events rather, he usually has one or two of these deputies flanking him who are supposed to be off duty, and I'm guessing they're off duty.
Well, I mean, come on. It's like saying, wait, I knew my left hand was doing, I didn't know my right hand was doing.
I only let him do part of the politics, not all of the politics.
I didn't know my right hand was doing that when it's all controlled by the brain.
So as a result, when this mailer went out right before the primary in May, Deputy Nick Franson, who's the president of the FOP, of course, came out and he posted in their private chat group, which we obtained that screenshot, where he contradicts Bob Norris and says, yeah, we did have permission. And that's for another time and another argument. But here's your reminder again, that quite possibly due to this, crap that Bob Norris was engaged with the Deputy Sheriff's Association PAC, it cost approximately 30 Kootenai Republican Central Committee PC seats. That's too many P's and C's.
Yeah.
And their words, not mine. The North Idaho Republicans came in and swept in and picked up 30 of those seats. They call them the Dirty 30. Again, not my words. This is just for conversation. But you would think as many of the PCs that lost their seats, that they would be holding Bob Norris accountable. In fact, because Bob and Bruce backstabbed the KCRCC, one would think that they would be exiled, that they would be no longer a part of the operation. And at the parades in the very beginning, as we were going through all of these small town parades, starting with the big one at the 4th of July in Coeur d'Alene, the KCRCC's float had all sorts of politicians that are currently running their signs up on the side. And what was obviously absent was Bob Norris signs. But then yet, at this tent that they have at the fair, which is, I don't know, it's like a 20 by 20 tent, something like that, Bob Norris's signs are plastered all over it. So apparently the KCRCC, those that should be holding Bob accountable, they're not holding him accountable at all. And I think that we have a case of codependency where the KCRCC actually needs Bob. Mm-hmm. Bob is relevant for them to legitimize what they are currently doing, which is they have lost their way.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's what we have. Basically, as a voter, as an individual, we have largely given our power away to a big political action committee that is worth a whole ton of money. So they've got power, clout, position, and they can come swoop in and essentially decide who in a conservative county, knowing that people are behind their name, they're going to landslide through. Mm-hmm. And so as individual voters, because we've failed to understand who these candidates are and rely on that mailer from KCRCC that goes out, it is possible that we've swept through candidates that are not who they appear to be, and not somebody you'd want to have at your house for dinner, not somebody you want to entrust to be making decisions on your behalf.
Yeah.
And KCRCC is not going to turn their back on their sheriff, no. Bob Norris. He is there.
Even though he's done crooked things.
He's done crooked things. And then you think, okay, maybe there's a chance that somebody from the KCRCC organization will stand up and say, we need to rethink this. And we're not going to re-recommend this guy based on the recent actions. And then you realize that's not where this is headed.
Nah.
That's not, this is a cozy, it's a cozy mm-hmm. relationship. Bob Norris is their main attraction. Well, and without him, they lose their relevance. Yeah. And Norris he can't stand on his own. He is where he is because of the backing of the big organizations right. with large donations.
And by the way, we're going to be talking about this coming up, about how few small donations actually go into the KCRCC and how many very large donations from a small few are actually propping this up. But we're also hearing the rumor that from the Bob Norris camp that they have the North Idaho Republican vote in the bag. And because he has it in the bag, he doesn't have to worry, and that he has it in the bag for the KCRCC. So their team is implying that they have both camps solidly in for Bob Norris. And you know what? That's okay, because we're not aligned with a party. We are aligned with an idea, which is fidelity to the Constitution and upholding everybody's rights to life, liberty, and property. I had a great conversation this weekend with a self-described atheist and a lesbian. And at first she wanted to come in and hot and heavy, well, do you believe ... And I said, well, please define more what you are meaning. We had a great conversation, and when we were done, I know that she left knowing that Dan Wilson will protect her rights to her form of religion or no religion, what her beliefs are, infidelity to the Bill of Rights. Because, folks, it's way more important for a sheriff to be neutral. And I'm not making absolute any concessions to the fact that I'm a very, very conservative man. That is my worldview. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I believe in conservative values, but part of that is I absolutely uphold the Constitution, and I won't single anybody out and give them less protection or more protection. But the KCRCC, I don't know. I guess they're fully fine with Bob playing them. That he's kind of like the bad boy that mom told him not to do something, and dag nabbit, he did it anyway. But he still doesn't get grounded.
Well, and think about it. You have the sitting elected sheriff of Kootenai County that's making an apology video that's posted on the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee YouTube channel.
Not his own.
Not for the
Kootenai County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. Not for his re-election channel. It's the KCRCC YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So what this leads you to believe, any thinking with a brain individual says, okay, the pressure was put on by KCRCC. You better sit down, make this clarification because you've just created a big old mess.
Yeah.
This is a scenario where you've got the sitting sheriff in your county who's being told what to do by is he a director, Brent Reagan, director? I don't remember the title
chairman.
of that. The chairman. That's what it is.
Big
chairman.
dog.
But so this is what happens when you are a bought individual. You were, bought and paid for. You now owe it to those who are propping you up or who are going to afford your 2024 campaign. You now owe them something. So he was put in a position where he had to do what somebody else was telling him to do, or this is, you're going to get in deeper water. You're not going to get our financial support. And they're all in a mess because of, again, that codependent relationship between the two. The further down the road this goes and the more we uncover, I thought, to have gotten out of, been able to step away and run as an independent. I mean, it's like there is nothing else that could have been more fitting for the message of liberty without compromise because you're a free man.
So many in the KCRCC, and I'm going to say this with all due respect to those who are not aligning. And we know that there is a lot of folks in the KCRCC that are not in favor of what has been going on. But so many of the others have become the very thing they have railed against. They are party over principle. If they truly believed in what they said, they would not act, they would not support some of the people that they are currently supporting. And I will call you out on it because it is true. All you have to do is look side by side at the vetting committee survey results, or the answers rather, that were given both by myself and Bob Norris. If the only reason that you guys thought that he should have been king is because he had 30 years at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, shame on you. Because he cannot articulate, without Bruce Matari, cannot articulate exactly what the purpose of government is, things about the Constitution, things that are important for the chief law enforcement officer of the county to understand. So, but look, right now, folks are really concerned as they come up and talk about their increased taxes. I know this for certain, that there are people that are non-tribal members living on Kootenai County tribal lands who are paying taxes to Kootenai County, and they are not getting police services from the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Now, Bob's going to be holding a Scam and Scammers event coming up here in a couple weeks.
And a
town
con
hall.
man. Oh, the con man's for his other event.
So we're fully anticipating that what's going to happen here is that Bob is going to somehow tie everything that Dan Wilson has been saying, where we've provided the evidence for you to look at, as a scam and a scammer. Be watching for it. I hope that I'm wrong.
You might be wrong.
But look, we know what's going on, and people are getting fed up with it. They're getting extremely fed up with it. And they're noticing things. So if you live on tribal lands, I absolutely have it on good authority that Bob left you guys high and dry and put all that burden of patrol onto the Coeur d'Alene Tribal Police, which he cross-deputized back in, I believe it was late 2022, early 2023. And they are taking almost all of the calls down on tribal lands for both tribal and non-tribal members. And that includes Folks that are living way over to the east in Harrison on the other side of the lake, they're dispatching Coeur d'Alene Tribal Police all the way from the Worley area, all the way an hour east and south down to Harrison, instead of dispatching somebody that's closer, being a deputy that should be assigned, that should be down there handling calls. So people are concerned. They're also concerned that the sheriff's office budget has grown 33% since Bob Norris took over with no accountability. There's no reason that Bob can't come in and tell the people, why has your budget grown so exponentially? And why did it grow last year from 43% to, 43%, that's funny, 43 million to 50 million this year? And why are you, trying to negotiate for equipment that you say is absolutely necessary, Bob, but is not? And of course, I know that Bob's not arguing this every day, but a 4-seat side-by-side to access your radio towers, if I'd been sheriff, I'd have told you immediately, scratch it out. You don't need a $60,000 side-by-side. There are companies here locally that if we need their services, we could lease one. We could put it under a MOU or something similar, but you didn't need that $60,000 line item. And Captain Smart, I heard you specifically state to the county commissioners that Kevlar vests were $5,000 a piece. Now, I personally have purchased my own Kevlar vest, a level 3 NIJ vest that cost me $800, not $5,000. And when I talked to Captain Smart about this, Captain Smart said, well, we're looking for all sorts of different configurations. They're actually $1,500. Again, not true, Smart. But this is what currently Bob has for those that are running the budget and ultimately costing the taxpayers. Now, my solution to all of this, and I'm already letting the future county commissioners know, the two that I think that I can work with, the last one definitely will not work with me on his own accord, but I've put it out that we are going to be requesting funds to do a request for proposal to provide a forensic audit of the sheriff's office from top to bottom, and to go over all of our federal grants to find out what strings are attached, where is money going, what areas should we be cutting, where can we take the money from that we don't need it, that we're wasting, and put it back towards the deputies. I had a dispatcher come to me yesterday. You and I were walking into the fair. Mm-hmm. A Kootenai County dispatcher that recently retired. And she was almost in tears for her friends in dispatch that have been facing horrible conditions. We met with a dispatcher earlier on, the beginning of the year, I did, and heard the same thing. Forced overtime. Morale is low. It is completely mismanaged. And why are we having to put this kind of strain on the men and the women that are providing services for us? I had a retired jail deputy came to me and told me everything that had been going on. And again, people can say, well, when people leave an organization, they get better. But this guy legitimately retired, and he was able to articulate very well. And here's what the common thread is. All of these people from the jail, current deputies are coming to me, and former deputies, their stories all align. And I want those of you inside the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, whether it's jail, whether it's dispatch, whether it's patrol, hope is on the way. We are going to rectify the situation. We are going to take care of our people. We are going to find solutions to make people want to come back to work for Kootenai County Sheriff's Office and not leave. I spoke with some very, very angry individuals, and I'm not going to name their position in the sheriff's office, that cannot stand working there anymore because of the toxic environment. So we are going to look at ways to cut the budget, and we're going to level with the people. Look, there are certain things that we may not be able to provide that are whiz bang, but we will still ensure securing this county. Now, one of the things that I'm absolutely opposed to is patrol purchased, the fleet management purchased roughly 36 vehicles, a bunch of Explorers, those are the SUVs, and I think about 8 F-150s, and they purchased them, as I understand through records requests, that these vehicles already came equipped with Motorola M500 cameras. And these cameras are used for license plate recognition. And then they are at the same time requesting $105,000 in their budget to run software for 5 years on up to 40 patrol vehicles. These license plate reader technology software that they are using, that they want to use for these cameras that they have. Folks, let me tell you something. At some point, we as Americans say we accept risk. We accept the fact that we want to move freely without being monitored, without having to constantly be tagged somewhere in our location. We accept the risks of not having this technology monitoring us and whatever they're doing with that metadata. We will take that risk. We do not subscribe to cameras that are watching our every move and tagging us, whether you claim that information is confidential or not. We know from many, many sources that it is not. And it also ties into an overall surveillance state, which I, as sheriff, reject. I reject 15-minute cities. I reject Big Brother. And we are going to secure this county by the good old-fashioned way of good police work. And so there are areas that I'm very, very confident that we can slice and dice, but we're going to level with the people and say, you know what, we don't have some of these gimmicks, but we're going to train our people. Our people will be very well trained. They're going to have the tools they need for patrol, for jail, for dispatch. We're going to cut out a lot of crap, and I intend on cutting every federal dollar that has any strings attached to us. And I'm also on the record fully against civil asset forfeiture money. Personally, as a sheriff, it is fundamentally against my view of the Fourth Amendment. Whether or not Congress has allowed it or not is irrelevant. I think that it's dirty to take assets from somebody that has not been fully convicted of a crime, and I don't want any part of it. So I'm already scaring people because I'm already letting it be known that I want to slice and dice our budgets and throw away every layer that constricts us to be able to protect the people of Kootenai County's rights to life, liberty, and property. But I believe that with the program that we have, that we're going to have, that we're going to make up for lost time. And you know, my deputy reserve program, how many law enforcement professionals recently retired from big agencies all over this country? How many of them have come up to me in the past 5 days and said, we would, without hesitation, become a reserve deputy for Kootenai County Sheriff's Office? Yeah,
Dan's had retired law enforcement approach him prior to being the visibility at the state fair. But it's been extremely encouraging to be meeting these people face to face and have them look in the eye and say, I will do that with you. I would gladly do this. Yeah. And understanding the logic behind multiplying, as you've said, a force multiplier, and it's a way to save taxpayer dollars. And imagine bringing that expertise and experience in. And so as you do want to bring in new, young deputies, they're still in that training mode. There may be life experience that they're lacking. Yes. And imagine them linking arms and being those mentored, younger deputies. Mentored. That's the word I'm searching for. I'm so tired. But being mentored by these men and women with a lifetime of experience at this point.
And look, we're going to have to change the culture again. I have heard many, many stories, people recounting their interactions with deputies. So understand, deputies, if you're there right now, I'm not bagging on you because I hate you. But what I am hearing is a very concerning trend of the way people are being treated by deputies. And I want to challenge you men and women out there on patrol or wherever you are interacting with the public. You are there because of a calling. And yes, this is the most difficult time in our entire history to be law enforcement in a world where it is primarily anti-law enforcement. But that means you have to persevere even greater because your calling demands it. Your calling sets you up to have the mindset to be able to endure with that warrior mentality. But unfortunately, we have so many young, inexperienced deputies right now due to turnover that those that should be mentoring our troops aren't there. And we're going to be changing this. We are going to bring in help, folks, that are going to reinforce your calling, but we're also going to gently and firmly at times going to remind you that we have to hold a very high level when it comes to who we are and how we perform. But I am so encouraged by my goal is starting to change. I had originally thought, we were going to get the first year with my deputy reserve program X amount. And I think that we might possibly exceed that. What will be an obstacle is backgrounds, because some of the process takes a long time. And so we're going to have to work on solutions on how we can overcome that. But for those inside Kootenai County Sheriff's Office that are weary, that are tired from not having the support, hope is coming. Hope is coming. We are going to come in and there will be a reckoning. Those who have done wrong or been doing things below board will be held accountable. And those that have been doing good, that have been faithful, you will be rewarded. So have hope. Community, have hope. You see your deputies out in the community, pray for them. Pray for them. Pray for the county. But most importantly, support them when they do right. Hold them accountable when they do wrong.
A couple more questions, comments. I think we're going to wrap it up because it's been just over an hour. I guess we started a little bit late, so we'll go a little bit past 8 o'clock here. But we got Logan on Facebook. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Logan.
He says, if you oppose civil asset forfeiture, how do you feel about drug asset forfeiture if KCSO uses that program?
Well, again, it's all the same thing. I think that unless the funds have come after a conviction, I don't want any part of it. And so I know that there's federal rules and regulations, but look, it's no different than hate speech and hate crimes. We're walking down a very, very slippery slope when we start playing with the Bill of Rights and due process. So hopefully that answers your question on stance.
And then this is something that I think can kind of help us wrap it up with giving people some reminders. But Deputy Northwest on Instagram, let's see. Well, he was asking when our next major event will be, or if we'll have another booth or stand somewhere. Yeah. I mean, right now we're at the Idaho State Fair, and that's through this coming Sunday.
Yeah, so come down and see us.
Yeah, definitely come by, say hello, get a photo with Dan, help spread the message. Remember to order your Liberty Without Compromise t-shirts on the website at idahosheriff.com, and then other events coming up. What do we got
We're
planned?
booking them constantly. I don't even have the updated list right now, again, because we've been at the fair, but we will get those out and published. We have a private meet and greet immediately on Monday up in Athol again. Many people want to come, and so we have it's almost a monthly meet and greet at this one location.
So that's a private meet and greet, but if you're in the Athol area, that's convenient to you. You can email us at info@theidahosheriff.com, and we'll see if it's appropriate to connect you with that private event and swing by and say hello at that one. If not, we'll have other public events that'll be easy enough.
We do have them coming up. We will publish those so people can see them. Again, we're asking for a public debate. We have already thrown the gauntlet down to the Bob Norris camp. We have sent our press release not only to local media, but also regional media, because we desperately want a debate with Bob Norris. We're going to do it, and I'm going to say this correctly because I always say it wrong, by the Federal Election Committee.
I think it's a commission. Yeah.
I bombed it again. Federal, too many acronyms. Federal Election Commission. As far as the conduct of and the procedures of the debate would go. So put the pressure on Bob. Tell him that you want to see a debate. Of course, Bruce Matari, who apparently I'm his dingleberry.
I was going to ask you, okay, hold on. Let's go one thing at a time. But I was going to say, have you seen Bruce Matari lately? I don't know if we
Bruce came
subject.
out. Bruce, you probably need to work out a little bit, just saying.
Daniel.
I'm sorry. If you're going to wear a really tight t-shirt, you better work out. Sorry. Okay. So Special Deputy Bruce Matari, who is not on a $187,000 a year disability like Bob Norris is, came to the fair today, and he wanted to let us know that he was there. So he walked past our booth.
Oh, dude, he was strutting forward with a smirk on his face, making a beeline.
And then I looked at him and I said, "I'm your Huckleberry," because he started laughing hysterically, almost like a schoolgirl would. Mm-hmm. And then he said, "I'm his Dingleberry." That was a little bit hurtful. I mean, I gotta admit that
Dan
being called a
is
dingleberry.
Bruce Matari's dingleberry.
But then we got reports from our staff our volunteers, as soon as we left, that he came around the corner, knowing that we were gone, to engage our people to cause problems, because that's what Bruce from DC does. And apparently I'm a bully and a wimp.
Oh, a wimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he waited till you were gone.
Yeah.
Came over to our booth to hand out Bob Norris literature.
Yeah.
And then called you a wimp.
A wimp. A bully.
Oh, and a bully.
A bully and a wimp.
So he was bullying.
Yeah.
And didn't come over to the booth until you were gone.
Yeah.
But you're the wimp.
Well,
just gotta get that
I'm certain
straight.
that they're pretty upset over how many people have come and voiced their support, young to old. We've had just a great time at the fair. So please, if you are coming to the fair, come see me. Come say hello. Let me know what you're thinking. I love spirited discussion. I've had people there that don't agree with me.
Oh, yeah.
And that is great, because it helps reinforce what my position is I'm able to articulate it. And people have good ideas, and I don't necessarily disagree with how they come to their conclusions. But please come say hello, take a picture, show your support for Liberty Without Compromise. We will be getting our events posted. Keep signing up. If you want to help doorbell, if you want to help do mailings, if you want to help doing phone calls, please sign up on the idahosheriff.com. Go to our volunteer posse sign up. It's going to become even more crucial that we have your support physically here in the last, 7 weeks?
The clock is ticking. It's moving fast. The financial contributions that we have received, we've used very judiciously.
Yeah.
We've got people on our team, volunteers who have
Hardworking.
professional skill sets that are using them to the best of their ability to further this campaign. Yeah. And so we want you to understand that as you financially contribute, we are able to do. I mean, we have a lot of wise individuals that are helping us really get exponential results for a very reasonable amount. I guess those are the words I'm looking for. So you can donate securely online at our website at the idahosheriff.com. Just click on that donation tab. But yes, as the countdown is happening, we need that. I think we've been cautious in asking for that. It's not something that you and I are used to doing. No. We've always worked hard for our money, so it's tough to do. But I mean, we're just more out in the open about it now. We are up against a giant machine where we can't take money from big donors, big business,
well, like
developers.
Bob, you mean cannabis?
Yeah.
I mean, Bob, remember folks, Bob and Bruce both received maximum donations in their campaign, and they could still give Bob another maximum donation of $2,000 from cannabis industry. And we've talked about this before. Jason and Shayna Body have given Bruce and Bob, Bruce in 2022, I believe, and Bob just this year, maximum donations, and their business is cannabis. They've received donations from big real estate developers out of California, out of Las Vegas, and we all have to wonder why folks are giving to them all the way from California, Las Vegas, that happen to be involved in business or real estate development, especially when he's for, responsible growth.
Yeah. Responsible growth is the tagline. And are they putting their footprint on some of this open property in Hayden, in and around our area? Is that truly what's going on?
Are they doing stuff with the hangers?
Asking a question. Yeah. And remember too, these people that are giving maximum donations to those campaigns for Bob Norris, Bruce Matari, also have the political action committees, the FOP, behind them that can raise thousands. There's no cap on that.
But they can't collude. Remember?
Oh, but
even though Bruce did with the Coeur d'Alene Press,
even though it's the brains of the operation, there's no collusion. But so we appreciate anything that you can do. The idahosheriff.com. Click the donation tab and help us get to the finish line. Another quick question: Colorado Springs on Instagram wants to know if you walk at the fair. Do you walk around outside of your booth?
We try to get out and walk, but quite honestly, the majority of the time we are just talking with people face to face there. So we have gotten out probably maybe a total of an hour each day between eating and restroom breaks. And we love to come out and try to see folks, but the reality of it is there's just too many people at our booth that
it's been conversation. It really has been conversations nonstop. Dan's been on his feet all day, and we try to get you in from
so have our volunteers. Our volunteers are on their feet too. I mean, everybody from Ann, who's north of 70, who's out there working hard, and
she loves it when you say she's north of 70. Hi, Ann.
And you are so doggone precious to us. So
give us some hope on the way out, and we'll see you guys at the Idaho State Fair.
Not the county fair, the Idaho State Fair. All right, folks, as I say every single week, you cannot despair. You must have hope. Hard things are upon us all the time. Every day is a challenge. If we weren't being challenged, we wouldn't be growing. But remember, we did not descend from fearful men. We have the blood of those that pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, who saw the danger on the horizon. They did not trade their dangerous liberty for any kind of certain security. Now it's up to us. Will you join me in pledging your life, your fortunes, and your sacred honor to stand outside the Republican, the Democrat, the other party affiliates? Join hands with me to preserve liberty without compromise. Stay strong. Be of good courage. May God bless you all around this great country, especially the folks of Kootenai County, my fellow neighbors. See you at the fair soon. Good night.
I'm going to let Dan look at some of you who've joined us on Instagram here, because I think there's some familiar names. He can maybe acknowledge you, but thank you for joining us
tonight. Fill your tag. Love it, brother.
Thanks for joining us tonight on the Idaho Sheriff
Linda.
live stream broadcast with Dan Wilson for Kootenai County Sheriff. We're here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. The name of that channel is The Idaho Sheriff. That's the common theme. There, you're going to receive automatic reminders when we go live. And for the Idaho Sheriff podcast, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows, any of those platforms. As always, learn more about Dan Wilson, his platform, and his viewpoints on our website at theidahosheriff.com.
Let's see who else we're seeing right. Charles, hey, brother. How are you?
Yeah.
Gotta go down. Gotta go down.
That's as far as it goes. Yeah.
For all of my friends, God bless you all. Special thanks to Grizz and to Jim, who are holding the line for me out there tonight. Is it time to go get a shot of whiskey and a little cigar smoking?
Yeah, I think it is.
If you want to smoke cigars with me sometime, hit me up. Let's go to the Racketeer. Let's talk about all things liberty without compromise. Good night, folks.